How's it going, everybody? We are going to be doing an entire Kinstretch workout that is going to attack ankles and feet. These two things are vital when it comes to anything lower body, especially lunging, squatting, walking, running, you name it. So we're going to get started by doing some cars for both the ankle, the knee, the toes, and we're also going to focus on the hip because the hip has a huge role as well when it comes to this kind of kinetic chain when it comes to anything lower body. So to get started, we're going to work on our right side for ankle cars. So you're going to take your right arm through the right leg, your left hand is going to hold your right shin, and then your right hand is going to hold the forearm, and then you're going to pull your hip and also pull your knee down. So we're going to lock out the knee joint and also block out the hip joint from influencing the ankle. So what we're going to do is have the toes going up towards the ceiling and then start drawing a big circle with the ankle. So as we're doing cars, I want you to think of a few things. Number one is going as slow as possible. Once you go slow with cars, it's enough time and feedback for the brain to understand what this joint is supposed to do. And let's switch directions. And the more we can slow down the movement, the clearer the message between the brain and the joint capsule itself is going to be. Keep breathing, nice and slow. And good. So now we're going to move on to the knee. So now your left hand is going to hold the right hand. You're now going to think of driving your entire forefoot and toes towards your face to lock out the ankle joint, so then we're not mimicking any kind of plantar flexion. So you're going to drive that up, and we're going to focus on that knee. So we're going to rotate to the right and then rotate to the left. So we're just going to do tibial rotations to the right and left. And you want to imagine your tibia and your fib rotating within that knee joint, just back and forth. And again, don't forget to pull that leg in so then your hip does not try to mimic tibial rotation, because if you have a knee that doesn't move properly and you let your hip go, usually what I see is when people get into internal rotation, they don't have enough, their whole hip tries to help. And this is why I was saying earlier, we're also going to do some hip cars to influence that foot and ankle. And good, perfect. So for hip cars, you're gonna need a block at the top of your mat, and we're gonna be lying down on our left side since we've been doing our right side this whole time. Hands in front, squeezing top leg. You're gonna drive that knee towards that armpit, up towards the ceiling. And then we're gonna rotate and kick the heel behind, around, and then back. Thinking of drawing a big circle with this knee. I always use the analogy that your knee is a pencil trying to draw a circle. Just breathe. The big thing with side-lying hip cars like this is that a lot of people, they kind of get lost around this position when they have to rotate their hip into internal rotation and then go into extension. They kind of don't know where they are. And going back to my very first point with cars, the slower you go, the better feedback and sensation you're going to get back into this hip joint, where your nervous system goes, oh, you have a hip that's supposed to go into hip extension and internal rotation back there. And it kind of almost maps out your environment a little bit more effectively. So we're going to do one more. Keep breathing. And good. Perfect. So we're going to do the other side, starting with our ankle cars. So left leg is now bent, left hand goes through, right hand holds the left hand. You're going to pull that leg up, and then your right hand's going to go on the shin, left hand on the forearm, pulling the knee down and hip towards your chest, and we're drawing that big ankle circle, nice and slow. If you find any kind of jagged spots where the ankle kind of shakes a lot, you want to go even slower, because that just means that signal between brain and hip capsule are not as fluid as they should be. And switch directions. Nice and slow. Breathing. And good. So now we're going to focus on knee cars where we're just working tibial rotation. So right hand, left hand together, still pulling that hip in, toes towards the face, rotate to the left, rotate to the right, left, right, nice and slow, back and forth. Keep breathing. And good. So now we're gonna go into hip cars on that left side. So, head on, both hands together, squeezing top leg, knee to the armpit, knee up towards the ceiling. Rotate that hip and kick around and behind and back. Opening up that hip. And down, back up, rotate, back. Breathe, slow down the motion. One more. And good. All right. So we are now going to go into toe intrinsics. So in this position here, when I tell you to lift, you're going to lift just the big toe up while the rest of the digits stay down onto the ground. So 3, 2, 1, big toe up and down, big toe up, down, big toe up, down, big toe up, down, big toe up, and down. Next one, your big toe stays down while the rest of the digits go up. So 3, 2, 1, toes up, back down, toes up, back down, toes up, back down, toes up, and back down, toes up. Hold them there, and when I tell you to switch, those toes go down while the big toe goes up. So we're gonna go back and forth just like this, nice and slow on my count. 3, 2, 1, switch, 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 and switch. Perfect, all toes up. And when I tell you to go, just the big toe will go down and back up. 3, 2, 1, big toe down and up, big toe down and up, big toe down and up. Same idea, but the rest of the digits go while the big toe stays up. And toes down, back up, toes down, back up, toes down, back up, toes down, back up, and relax. If that was difficult, you definitely need to focus on getting more active control in the toes, especially with the big toe, because that is the first point of propulsion when it comes to walking, running, lunging, anything that's involving any kind of hip extension. Big toe plays a huge role in that. So if that was really difficult, make sure you practice that every single day. So we're gonna get started with some ankle mobility. So we're gonna go into ankle dorsiflexion pails and rails. So with the rest of your body, I don't really care what position you go in, as long as you can get in a position where you can drive your knee forward as far as possible and you feel a stretch somewhere within the ankle joint. So we're gonna hold this for 2 minutes. At the top of the 2 minutes, when I tell you to go, you're gonna think with this foot that you're gonna be pushing it into the ground, more so with the forefoot than just the toes, and you're almost gonna like gas pedal into the ground. I want you to think of driving at 10% effort when I tell you to go, and then we're gonna go to 30, then we're gonna go to 50, and then we're gonna go max effort, like we're trying to break the floor beneath us. After that, we're gonna go into our rails contraction, where we're gonna try to lift our entire foot off the ground. And I don't want just the toes up. I want you to think of this whole section, trying to close the gap into that ankle joint. So we're holding this for about another minute before we do all of that. So the key with any kind of pales contraction, once we get to max effort, you need to be pushing as hard as possible. I feel that a lot of people that I coach in person or in line, when it comes to pales and rails, to really grasp the benefit, you need to be able to actually contract really, really hard and not just like, oh, I'm pushing down, hopefully something's gonna change. So really focus on thinking about what you're trying to engage as hard as possible. A lot of that will take time because it takes a little bit of a learning curve to figure out, am I actually contracting all the right stuff? And it will come in time, so don't worry if it feels awkward or weird. All right, we got 30 seconds before we start pushing that foot down into the ground at 10% and then working our way up. So deep, deep breaths. All right, 5 seconds, we're pushing our forefoot and toes into the ground at 10%. So in 3, 2, 1, start pushing down. Let's go to 30, 50, and max effort. Push, 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 and ease off. Sink in a little bit deeper. And when I tell you to go, you're gonna try to lift that entire foot off the ground without leaning back. So in 3, 2, 1, lift, 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 and relax. All right, wiggle the toes a little bit, get some motion. So what we're gonna do is some dorsiflexion eccentric. So same position like we were in before, and then you're gonna use your other hand to push down and resist. We're gonna think of a 4-second countdown, all right? So in 3, 2, 1, start pushing down for 1, 2, 3, 4, reset, and again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and again, push for 1, 2, 3, 4, one more time, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next thing on this ankle, we are going to drive our knee forward as far as possible. Holding this position, we're gonna start contracting in that rails contraction, and then I'll tell you to lean back, and you're gonna try to keep that angle, and you should feel all of this engaging, and then I'll tell you to come back down and reset. So we're basically holding this position as we lean back and try to keep that gap of what we have in our end range. So pushing that knee forward, start contracting, and lean back and hold. Hold, hold, and reset. Go into that end range, and lift. Lean back, hold, 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 and relax. Lean in, and start contracting, and lift, 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 and relax. All right, next thing, if you have one of these old school ankle weights, wrist weights, we're gonna put it around our entire foot. So what we're gonna do with this weighted exercise, we're gonna do our ankle cars with more of an emphasis into like plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. If you don't have one of these, you're just gonna do regular cars, but you can literally get these from like the dollar store. So just like before, right arm through, left hand holds the shin, hand onto the forearm, and we're gonna go into ankle cars that are weighted. So we're gonna go nice and slow. This one's gonna be for time. So we're gonna try to do ankle cars nice and slow. And this is an input from the internal strength model. where we're trying to build more endurance muscle. What's going on, everybody? You might be asking yourself why this video cut out, and it's because it's just a little teaser towards my online Kinstretch platform that's going to be releasing in April. So if you've been enjoying my free Kinstretches in the very beginning and now all these little teasers, be sure to leave a comment in this video or reach out to me if you want to get onto that pre-sale list, because I'm going to be having a lot of different lengths of Kinstretch workouts ranging from 15, 20, 30, 45 and a full hour. And I was also going to focus on full body or just small little joints like the elbow, the ankles like in this one, or even toes. So if you are interested, feel free to reach out and be sure not to miss this exclusive online Kinstretch with yours truly. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to my YouTube channel.